Let's begin this painting. I'm doing acrylic paints and I use the golden heavy body acrylics. You can use any kind of acrylics or you can use oils if you prefer. For this demo, I have Indian yellow, ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson with titanium white. I may be using other colors later on, but these are the basic colors that I'm going to be using to create this painting. So paint along with me, take your time. Watch me doing it and make this your own painting. We're going to begin with Alizarin Crimson, but we're gonna make it sort of soupy. What I like about these colors that I told you is that they are very transparent. I like to paint with transparent paint. So just like in a third top, as you can see, well, let's mark here the middle and like the third top here. So we're gonna make sort of a diagonal. It doesn't have to be too straight or too perfect. Evidently, it's not perfect. Then we're gonna mix a little bit of blue with that alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue. They make a very nice violet, and we're gonna make this into a soupy mix. I want this to be very transparent for now, and you're just gonna make this. All right, so from the top here, and it's gonna reach more or less this area. So we go past the center and we just make this into a light. It's a nice purple, isn't it? All right, so we're gonna make this way, and then we're gonna also sort of bring it down more or less the same way down here. Okay, we're going to sort of get this here, a little bit more water so we can cover the canvas. I'm using white canvas. Sometimes I paint a color on top of it. They call it toning the canvas. All right, so far a big stain in there. We're gonna go for a little darker, so a bit more blue in this mix. Bit bluer on the left. So if you see this where this one is, go down, and we're gonna make sort of a straight line here. It should be having a little bit more blue, this one. Okay, so it's gonna be like there, a little bit more blue, and then you go down almost, why not, to the bottom, and then after the bottom you just do like this, and then like this. Okay, so we're gonna get this structure, blacks or a dark structure here. It's sort of a line that's mixing them. When you paint in acrylics, it's a layer painting. It's the same with oils, really, right? All right, so that's what we do. Push it down a little bit. That's it. That's it for the beginning. Get a little bit more soupy concentration of your paint, and now we're gonna make it more blue because we're gonna be painting what's in the back, and that's a very soupy blue. So now from where this line was, we're just gonna make sort of horizontal that goes above and below like this. Okay, and then we're gonna just make some lines here. This should be a little bit darker, so just make these lines here. Those are optional. I mean, everything is optional. All right, are you with me so far? Now we're gonna make a little bit of a dark line. Doesn't have to be a straight line or continuous line. You can make it sort of going like dot, 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 doesn't have to be exactly all dark here. And we're gonna establish a little bit of dark area in this bottom here. So that's the same soupy mixture I had, maybe with a little bit less of water. And as you can see, I'm grabbing the brush in different ways. It is convenient to have the long handle brushes because you get less picky. We're not drawing. As you can see, I'm not drawing it. You still don't know what we're painting. Of course, if I get a successful painting and I post it in YouTube, you will see the image of what we're painting. But for now, in this painting, I'm not drawing exactly what we are painting. We're painting, we're not drawing. So with paint and with color, we are establishing the forms, and hopefully it will work at the end successfully. Okay, so just follow me. You can pause the tape at any point, and so you can follow me. So far it should be looking something like this. There's one more black spot or dark spot, there's no black here, that we are going to put, and this is just establishing something that goes yeah, more or less down here. You're gonna put just a line like this, okay? And then a little lighter, like that. This is gonna be water reflections. All of this is gonna be water reflections. All right, so are you with me so far? You can pause if you need it. All right, so what we are going to do now is to add a little bit of Indian yellow. Indian yellow is a transparent yellow. And so for this particular painting, we are going to start establishing some yellows in the back and the top of these trees. Now it is transparent, you can see that you can almost not see it. So one good solution, and you know what, I forgot, I should tell you, wipe your brushes. Brushes are not expensive, but I hesitate to ruin them. Acrylics can ruin your brushes very quickly because it's plastic, and once acrylics dry, they stain your brushes and they basically ruin them. They make them a solid block. So you saw me first wipe out the excess paint, and then I just put it in water. I'm going to continue using this brush, so I'm still not using it completely clean, but it's fine. Some people actually say it's actually good because there's harmony in the colors. It's not completely clean, so you are using the same kind of colors that you had before. All right, so with the Indian yellow a bit more thicker here, we are going to make some marks, and we're also going to make some marks in the bottom. For Indian yellow to become a bit more opaque, we can add a tiny bit of white to the Indian yellow, and this makes a beautiful golden color, and it's opaque. So this golden color is going to be very helpful in this painting. All right, so we are going to put this golden color here. And just, you know, up and down, and also up and down. It generally, the reflections should somehow reflect what's in the bottom. So better if you can sort of follow where the lighter color was and do the reflections that way. But it works anyway. It's a beautiful way of showing different colors. Okay. Now we continue getting some of these reflections on the water, and this one corresponds to this one. So we are making some vertical lines or vertical marks. And because you have the purple behind the yellow, it actually gives it some, starts giving it some volume. This is going to be sort of a fall scene, okay? So once we get that done, we are going to be establishing a bit of the green color of these trees and also a bit of the orange colors because this is a fall scene. So let's begin with the orange. It's red, which is the Alizarin Crimson, and the yellow, Indian yellow. Because they're transparent, I'm just going to add a little bit of white, which is titanium white, and that makes it opaque. And that works well for, you know, some of these areas. It's not a bright orangey color. You may have other reds and other combinations of your primary colors, let's say, you know, your red, yellow, and blue. And they may be opaque already, so you may not need to add the white that I am adding. So remember, you know, just go down and down, and now this area is for the reflections just going down, okay? So far we have a little bit of the imagery, and we are cleaning the brush. As I mentioned, just wipe out as much as you can those other colors. So I did mention establishing a little bit of the green. So the blue with the mixture of that we had before of the orangey gives a very nice color. So you're mixing in your palette, use the same orangey that you have. If you're using the same colors that I am using, then it's the Indian yellow, titanium white, and Alizarin Crimson with a little bit of blue should give you sort of a green that's more, it's not you know, a green that's not in real life. So it's a muted, it's called muted green, but it's a more real green, real life green. The absolute, you know, pure colors are seen very rarely in nature, probably in things that we make, you know, like bright bottles or bright containers. But nature itself does not have those colors. I made this a bit darker, a little less of the white. And if you can see, I'm just brushing up and down, up and down. I'm not making any leaves in here, which is on purpose. So in here, we are just going to brush in sort of the same colors. The reflections in the water are usually a little darker than what they are reflecting. So it's just a little darker here in terms of these colors, and it's just, you know, up and down, and it will give the impression of water. If you need to use some water because it dried quickly on you, because acrylics dry very fast. I don't know what temperature you have wherever you are, but yeah, the acrylics dry fast. So as you can see, I'm using this brush. I mean, I'm not really struggling over the brush strokes I make. So the trick with water is you put it down, and then when you brush it on the side, it just gives the impression of water. You'll see that becoming a bit more developed a little later on, okay? So far, so good. We are going to establish this area in the back. That area in the back is going to have a very light, hopefully, a very light, sort of muddy color, predominantly green. But to muddy the green, we add a little bit of red to make it more like a gray color. And we're putting a lot of white into this sort of gray green. I'll show you more or less what I mean. It's a muddy, it's like mud, but yeah, it's gonna work fine. And we're just gonna make it here. Okay, this is in the back. So in the back, it should be lighter, right? Okay, all right. Now we are going to the brush. I may use only one brush or two at the most in this painting. And as you can see, it's a relatively large brush. For the size of this canvas, which is an 8x10, you can use any kind of size you like. You can see the proportion of the size of my brush. It's touching. So it's really a large one. I like to use large sizes of brushes because I don't want to dwell in details. I used to paint so many details that it would actually drive anyone crazy. And my paintings I didn't like them as much. I mean, maybe they did look okay, but I did not like them that much. Then I started painting with less detail. So I made a mixture of Indian yellow and white. A lot of white in here. And I'm just brushing it here in the top and sort of mixing a little bit. This is supposed to be a scene of fall scene in New England and by a lake. And so we need to make sure that the oranges and the sort of a light colors, light pushes things back. Light, I mean light color pushes things in the back. So now we are mixing with our mud color here so that this doesn't look very dark, and reflections are always a bit darker, as I mentioned. All right, so that's sort of a in the back, the other kind of pushes in the back. So now we're gonna make a little bit more lighter this area because it became a bit too dark, and we're gonna make it with, you know, the yellow and the red, but not necessarily well mixed, and a little bit of the white color. And as you can see, it's just brushing slightly, light touches. You don't need to do a lot. And usually, I mean, it's actually good to hold the brush, move the brush, they say, with your whole shoulder. Don't hold it like a pen or a pencil because you're not drawing and you're not writing, you are painting. So for painting, it's always better to try to keep the brush. I like the long handle, so I can actually put it farther away or closer. In this particular painting, I'm actually using it closer because it's a small painting, and because of the position of the camera, I wanted you to have a good view of what the painting is. I'm sort of twisted and far, so to have a better control, that's why I'm actually probably closer than I normally am, but it's still a very light touch. So you saw what I'm doing is on top of the dark, I've been using this mixture of Indian yellow, Alizarin crimson, and white on top, so that I give the impression of these bushes sort of going in the right color. It was too dark, so it was the right color. And then just for consistency, a little bit, but lighter on this end. If you make a mistake with any brush strokes in your painting with acrylics, it's so easy to fix. So don't worry, it's very, very fixable. It's the same with oils. So I'm just adding on top of that pinkish I put, I'm just adding touches of the white with yellow. They do have, my brush, haven't cleaned it, so it does have a little bit of red still. So it's not pure yellow and white, which is good, because that way, you know, you don't actually know what you're getting in terms of the final impression, but it's always good to sort of leave a little bit to the randomness of your brush strokes and the brush itself. All right, so with this same sort of lighter mixture of the pinkish, I would say it's like a salmon-y color, I don't know, it's pinkish. We're just gonna go here and just dab a little bit on top of that red line that we had established. Just a little bit on top of there. I don't even know what it is, but it just looks like that. And then we are going to, I think this is fine. We're going to make a little bit darker, but just tiny bit. So I didn't even wash my brush. I just put a little bit of the red and the blue, and I'm getting a color that I believe painters call puce in English, but it comes from flea, the word in French, puce. And this color is actually very useful to establish different areas and make the brighter areas brighter. All right, so this one here, you just do like a brush stroke like that, and then one like this. And then here you do a brush stroke like that, just like that. And then here you do a brush stroke like this with that color, puce color, flea color. It's a dirty gray. And then you're going to do one like this. All right, you with me? If you're not, you know, if you think this is going too fast, you can always pause it and do it. And if your colors are not the same, but you like it, you know, you don't need to use exactly the colors that I'm using. As I mentioned, it's 3 colors plus white that you can mix and match the way that you like it. So again, this sort of gray brown color, another one here, and another one here. Let's do this one. Why not? All right. Okay, so now we are getting to the point. I want to establish this line, which is the line of the bank of that river. All right, so now we're going to start doing a little bit of the white and blue of the sky. Okay, so wipe it out. See, that's the color that's sort of a mud, but I like the way that they call it puce. P-U-C-E, I believe. And in France, it's very famous that they have the flea markets. And that's the name. Okay, so what are we gonna do now? We're gonna clean brush, all right? A lot of white. And let's do a tiny bit of blue. And you just mix it until you get a nice, this is ultramarine blue. And this is a nice blue for the water. I think I'm gonna go a little bit darker blue, and I'm going to introduce Viridian green. It can be Viridian green, or you can use phthalocyanin green or phthalocyanin blue. It does make, people call it also phthalo, it's phthalocyanin. It's a very potent color. There's a teacher in YouTube, well, she's in real life, but she has a lot of YouTube channel videos that are wonderful. Jessica Henry, and she mentions that this particular color, phthalo, is like kryptonite. So be careful, don't use too much of it because it's kryptonite. I don't know if you noticed the difference, but it makes this Viridian green makes your blue a little bit more turquoise color, which is very nice for water. And in the bottom, it should be a little darker. So we're gonna go in the bottom. And then if you realize what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna get into these shades like this with my brush to shape sort of reflections of imaginary trees in there, okay? So that's negative painting, and it's nice to carve out. I'm adding a bit more white as I am going up. It's a little lighter. So horizontal strokes, try to mix it. If you don't mix it, don't worry, because it looks like waves in the water. So don't worry about that, and lighter as we go higher. Okay, now in here we're gonna make the same thing. This is gonna be like a treetop, whatever that is a reflection of, I don't really know, but it looks nice. And you saw what happened there. My brush had a lot of white, so no problem. Just go back to your darker pile. Yeah, pile. Your darker pile paint. Sometimes I'm mixing my Spanish with English, so bear with me. You're so nice and understanding. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. There we go. So you just go around and you make it look like reflections on the water from something that's above. And that's the way you carved with that original shadow. We're carving sort of like a tree shape. Okay, now here, this one here is a reflection of a stone or a river stone, and same as this one, right? Okay, so going higher, we need to make it lighter, as I mentioned. So it's gonna have to have more white, and I think we're gonna make this, instead of yellow, I think I placed it in the wrong place. I'm looking at the photo, and it doesn't matter, it's your painting. So this one has to come back here, and this one here, okay? So just add the water, and you're gonna have to squeeze in. Of course, you don't have a camera in front of you, so it might be easier for you. So here we're just gonna make this rock or stone from the river in there, and I think it's just a tiny bit dark, so I'm gonna make it a little bit less dark. Okay, we're 30 minutes in. Oh, I'm sorry, I just knocked the camera. Okay, 30 minutes. Okay, where the rock is, make sure that you don't do wavy areas, but where the reflection is, then you need to do wavy areas, right? And because it's acrylic, I think I mentioned this several times, painting in layers is very good. And here's another rock, and then we're just gonna do it this way. All right, folks, I hope that you're having fun. This today is the 31st of December, last day of 2020, when I am taping this, and we are on a not controlled wave 2 of the coronavirus disease. It's not the wave 3, it's wave 2, and it's just bad everywhere in the world. It's bad, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel with vaccinations going on. And the fear that we originally had, that maybe not many people were going to be willing to get vaccinated, is probably gone now, because what I saw yesterday is that there's people that are in line from the day before. They've been staying in line to get vaccinated. There was one person that they interviewed yesterday, and I think this was in Florida. He was online 23 hours because he said, oh, well, I want to make sure I get the vaccination. That's actually good news, because we need vaccinations, and we need herd vaccination. So a lot of people vaccinated for this pandemic to be controlled. Virus will ever be there, because that's the nature of nature. But the pandemic can be controlled. As long as we have defenses, we don't care there's a virus around. All right, so here I'm just going to again do the same. I think this was too dark, no problem. Just put a little bit more white. Your white could be more or less transparent than mine. So I don't like to tell you what are the proportions, because it depends on what are your quality of paints. All right, and you can see what I did there was to just chip into the shape of the trees and sort of make it look like it's a reflection. Okay, all right. And it should be a little darker at the bottom, as I mentioned, because the acrylics dry so fast. Sometimes you just need to make the same or a very similar color mixture again when you come back on top of it. Okay, it's like I just did. So it's difficult to blend because they dry fast, but it's sort of easy to recreate the color that you have. All right, so here's looking more now like the water lake. And I think we're gonna make some accents here in a lighter color here. So I'm just adding a bit of white on top, and there's gonna be more white in the back. All right, now around that rock and around this rock we are going to have the water there. Those in the back are going to give the impression of also of rocks, but we may not need to paint them with all the details. It may just look okay like that. Just dabs of blue. Okay, now we are going to put a bit more light color here, a bit of the light reflection, and we just bring it down, right, like this. And I would like to sort of make it look like we get a little bit more water trickling here. I don't know if I'm going to do the right thing or not. Let's say if I make a mistake, we can always paint on top what we had before. But I'm going to make it a bit bluer here. Because it's where shadow from the trees could be hitting this water, and then just gently down here. I think this could give the impression, again, it has to be darker. Okay, this can just give the impression that the water of the lake, it's coming a bit in here. And when you paint water, the reflections go down, but the waves are horizontal. So you mix the two types of paint, of sort of way that you do it. Okay, I think it's looking now. We have the back trees, the front trees, and some reflections on the water. I think I am going to cut down these trees with a little bit of sky, so this makes sense. You'll see what I mean by that. And maybe I'm gonna bring a little bit, let's do the sky, which is a lot of white, and the bluey mixture that we have. I'm not sure if my clock is gonna be sounding there, but if it does, it's because it's on the hour, and that's the chimes. All right, on the 31st of December. All right, so I said I'm gonna cut down here, and this is a bit dark for the sky. So the sky is darker in the top and lighter in the bottom. So what I just did was to put the darker in the top, and now I'm coming back with a lighter color. So to make sense, I'm just gonna make sure that this area here of light shows in here, and I'm just cutting through in a vertical strokes here, and lighter in the bottom. I would like to make this look like we don't know where the sky ends and where the trees start. You see, it's just brushing lightly, and you get in there. We're gonna make some colors here that seem that you can peek through some of these trees, some of the sky, right? You can make those whichever shape you like. I think I needed to make them a bit bluer. And again, shapes, don't make too many, and if you don't like them, don't do that. And then I'm just going to reflect that a little bit down here and here. All right, now with this lighter, it's kind of in the middle, blue color of the sky, we are going to sort of also brush here, and I want to lose this edge, so we don't know exactly where the sky starts. I think it's a bit too dark, so I'm just making it a little lighter. Yeah, so that I want to lose that edge, and we're gonna come back with a lighter yellow. But this has a lot of white, but of course, even though if I paint white on top, I have the blue, so it's never white. And it's just gently touching and brushing so that this brings these trees to the back. And now with the same blue, a little darker, we are going to shape these as treetops. So just see, I don't know if it's gonna work. Okay, yeah, I'm doing it from chiseled edge, as chiseled as I can, because I have a lot of paint, and just do it like this. And it's gonna look like we have a tree in the front, but I don't want to make you know, the leaves, or paint the leaves as, you know, one leaf at a time. I don't want to do that. So it's just the impression that we have a tree close to us. Okay, now I see that I need to make the horizon line a lot lighter. And to do that, I'm going to use the white and a little bit of the yellow, but just a tiny bit. And you can see how I'm applying the paint. I want this very light color. In the sky. And then as you go higher, it's really, as I mentioned, it's hard to blend, but it doesn't look that bad when you actually just slightly brush it. And now I want to do this reflection. I think this is going to be interesting in the painting. Now I think it's too white, so just go a little bit on top with the other darker blue. And you know, if you need to make new piles or new combinations, you can do it on your palette as you are painting. Okay, so now we have this sort of, I think I wanted to make it look like the water is probably just streaking here. And then the light color of the sky, it's reflecting. There's water here. All right, I think we are doing well. I hope you are advancing as more or less as I am. So we've got the color of the sky and the color of the water. Clean your brush, wipe it in the water, or actually dunk it in the water. Make sure you can get as clean as you can, because we have now the light blue color in the brush. And what I think I want to is reestablish a bit of the orange. If I mix orange and blue, I will get a very nasty gray color, and that's not what I want for this painting. So because I cannot right now clean the brush very thoroughly in time, I am going to be using a clean brush. Orange, what we are going to do is introduce cadmium red light, also from golden, and cadmium yellow light, also golden acrylics. They are the heavy body. This is going to give me brilliant orange. Actually, the cadmium yellow is overcoming the cadmium red. It's very strong. But let's try it. Okay. Just, you know, as you see in my brush, I did not mix it a lot, and it's just coming through. Being deposited in a way that I'm not really controlling. Again, it's the stripes. I want to have a bit more yellow in here. Now, there's one thing that I wanted to mention. The complementary colors in the color wheel are blue and orange. For the green would be the opposite color is red. And when you put complementary colors together, it just pops very nicely. So I wanted to do that bright orange of the tree tops instead of, I mean, I could have used the Alizarin Crimson and the Indian Yellow as I had before, but by using a brighter orange, this blue pops up a bit more, the blue of the sky. And that's sort of what I wanted to just establish here. It's a bit more of a popping color. And this orangey color here is actually super notable. So it's just make sure that when you're doing these shapes that seem to be like holes in the trees, they make sense. They don't look like all of them the same size and all of them the same way. Now for the reflections in the water, I think I want to put a bit more of the yellowish tones here. Yeah. You know, the yellow colors are really nice in the fall in New England. I'm sure that other places have very nice colors too, but New England is known for their colors. Okay, I'm adding a bit of the Alizarin Crimson and the Indian Yellow to that orange that I had before with the cadmiums to place it here. And as you can see, it's not as bright as the cadmiums, which is what I wanted. I did not want to have a very bright reflection. Now here I might need to do a brighter reflection because this will mimic this, and then everything else, I think this was too dark, so let's just, this is a transparent color of, by adding the Alizarin Crimson and the yellow, Indian Yellow, they are transparent, and so they help a lot. And again, your brush strokes can be whichever. I like to do vertical and horizontal, not do them all the same. And I'm sure I'm not mimicking exactly what's seen in the top, but it works well. And I said I wanted to do a little bit brighter with the cadmium yellow, this reflection here. So if it's in the bottom, then we just do it like this, and okay, how do we do it? It's like that, so it should be like this. Again, it shouldn't be very, very dark in the reflection, but it should go down, okay? So I should be holding, I was gonna say the knife. I should be holding the brush. I think I'm hungry, this way, so that it goes the right way. There we go. I think that looks good. And I hope that you find it interesting and that you like it, and that you see and watch other videos that I have in my channel, because, you know, it does take time. Believe it or not, it took me a lot longer to prepare the camera angle and the camera and all this. I'm painting in my kitchen. That it's gonna take me to paint this painting. So we're almost 15 minutes into the painting. We are almost done. The other thing we're gonna do is establish a little bit of a light blue color. So I'm gonna use my other brush. Just clean your brushes, be good to your brushes, and when you finish the session, just rinse them very thoroughly under running water. You can use soap to wash them thoroughly from the plastic. Acrylic is plastic, and if it dries, it will ruin your brushes. And they're not expensive, but why ruin them? I'm just saying. So I'm gonna get a very light blue, or maybe sort of a purplish color, purplish blue, with Alizarin Crimson into my water, the color of the water that I had. And I made it too violet, I think, but it may work. So this is gonna be to establish some of these rocks in here. It's too dark. Okay, so there's a line of rocks in here, and you don't need to be too specific. Just dabs, little dabs, and if you have a smaller brush, it's better. And here, this is too dark for the back, so just light areas with rocks, and the rocks in the front are larger. We will put a little bit of a dark area in there under the rocks, so that they are actually not flying, they are okay. And the reflection, just a little line and the reflection, right? I hope you're following. I hope you're having fun. I hope you have, I don't think you're gonna be watching it today. Nobody watches the same day that I paint. Not a very popular channel yet, but if you are watching it and you are going to be enjoying your New Year's Eve, let's hope for a much better year next year. And this is just establishing a bit of the dark areas in the reflection of this water. And like I said, reflections go vertical, and then with horizontal strokes you can get the impression of the water. I think that we just establish a bit more of the dark areas in here. They're not really very dark, but it's just on top of what we had painted before. We just create this impression of the rocks here. And the reflection, and another rock here, and the reflection, another rock here, another one here. And you can see that, the area that is being hit by light is the one that's the lighter color, and the darker colors are sort of a mixture between other rocks and reflections. Like here we have reflections, so just remember we got some reflections. And this particular tree in the top, let's just make it a bit less transparent. And it's violet. I mean, where are you seeing violet trees in my paintings? And maybe in your paintings if you're following, but I think it looks okay. These reflections are actually, I like the transparency of some of those reflections, so we should just leave them there. And folks, I think we are done. Before an hour, I think we got a nice painting of the river. Just establish here a bit of this reflection. Okay, maybe a bit darker, because that's sort of a focal point in the painting. I sort of asked because I think the focal point also depends on what you are seeing as the most important thing. It's just a little bit of establishing these rocks a bit better. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. And one final thing, not the signature. I'm not going to show you how to sign because each one can do whatever they want. I think we can just dabs of, okay, I did not clean this brush, and you need to make sure you have a clean brush. We're just gonna make a very tiny dabs of very nice lake blue, which is ultramarine with a lot of white. Okay, so just mix that very nice blue. And just some dabs of blue here. And yeah, we are gonna be done pretty soon. Don't overwork your paintings. We've all done that. I just wanted to make sure that this blue is not necessarily very different from the blue that I had before. And so all right, folks, we are now probably overworking. I shouldn't be doing that. And I just wanted to make sure that all of the areas that look like have still some canvas showing were covered, but that's really not necessary. Even Cezanne left some white canvas shown. Not that I say that I paint like Cezanne. Oh gosh, the master of painters. But he knew when to leave the canvas showing. Okay, so now we've got these areas. Now I think we are done, and we have had a very nice time. And it's gonna be actually very, very close to the hour. Okay, here. I'm trying to rush and do things right. Okay, let's open this area here. Because as I mentioned, it's actually very nice to see the blue against the orange, and that would be here. It was too dark, so I just added white there. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it, and please check my other videos in my channel and subscribe. Who knows, maybe by the time you watch this, I have many videos and you can enjoy them and have a good time. And again, let's hope 2021 will be a much better year compared to what nightmare we have lived in 2020. All right, just establishing here a little darker on this area. I think I went too much, but it doesn't matter. We can dilute with a little bit of water so that it blends with the other color that was there. And we'll say goodbye. Have fun. Be good. And paint. Have a good time painting, enjoying some educational videos, not only from me, but there's a lot in the YouTube channels that you can enjoy. And be creative, be good, and set up an example of goodwill, friendship, and fun. Thank you very much. 1 hour and 59 seconds, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, check my channel. I hope you like this view, which is a, sorry, I just hit by mistake. I just hit it there, the camera. I hope you enjoy this video and that you liked it. I think I'm just going to establish a bit of that lighter sort of purplish color here because it just looks weird. I think it looks better with a bit of an accent of that. It's the same color I used here. And I think that is better. Just on the left side, the right side, I left it with the sort of a more brownish color. I think that looks better. Enjoy. Thank you for watching.